to liberate sentient beings, please generate the supreme bodhicitta. Today, as we are all gathered here together with everyone, I will briefly introduce the practice of tok offering, because generally speaking, for those who study Vajrayana Buddhism, it is preferable to perform chok offering twice a month, once in the first half of each month, and once again in the latter half of the month. This practice is extremely important. Why do I say this? Because, for example, in the exoteric tradition, after formally receiving monastic vows, the Vinaya requires on the 15th and the 30th of each and every month, without exception, at this time, one must recite the precepts once, which is called uposatha. One must maintain purity throughout the month and confess any precept violations one has committed. One must repent these transgressions, because in the pratimoksha precepts, such as the four root downfalls and the 13 sanghadisesa offenses for bhikshus, these cannot be purified simply by reciting the precepts. They must be purified through other specific methods or through other means of confession and restoration. But generally speaking, for example, the 90 different types of minor offenses for bhikshus, as outlined in the monastic code, as well as the 112 so-called light offenses, these particular various infractions, these can be purified during monthly precept recitation if one confesses with proper remorse. This is how the exoteric tradition explains it. By the same logic, when we enter the Vajrayana, receive empowerment, receive instructions, and the teachings of Vajrayana, these people as well also need to confess the offenses of breaking their sacred commitments. Because if we do not honestly and openly confess our faults, the Vajrayana path is actually an extremely strict and profoundly important Dharma path. Within our mind stream, we gain many obscurations and offenses. This negative karma gradually builds up. Moreover, if we keep breaking the Vajrayana vows and the sacred samaya, unlike in the exoteric tradition, the deities, gurus, dharma protectors, and dakinis will also become displeased with us. As a result, it also creates obstacles for oneself in attaining siddhis. Therefore, for practitioners who have already entered or stepped into Vajrayana practice, engaging in chok offering at least once each month is very important and beneficial. The most important point is that it allows Vajrayana followers to purify mind streams and accumulate merit, as well as to bring joy to the deities, dakinis, and dharma protectors. This is such an important practice. So precisely because of this, as a result, in our Larung Five Sciences Buddhist Academy, ever since the revival of the Dharma, His Holiness has stipulated that every month in the exoteric tradition, on the 15th and 30th, ordained monks and nuns must recite the precepts as a fundamental requirement. On those days, His Holiness himself does not give his regular classes, and on the 10th and 25th of each month, everyone must participate in the tok offering. Normally, in Larungga, The 10th features the Tok offering ritual of four-arm Manjushri. And on the 25th, we honor Dakini Yeshe Tsogyal by performing the Tok offering according to Yeshe Tsogyal's ritual. This has been our practice and continues to this day. As for myself personally, when I first came to Larunga for about 10 years or so, yeah, about 10 years, I basically never missed these four specific days each month. The two exoteric rituals for purifying one's mind stream, and as for the practices according to esoteric tradition, which are the two monthly chalk offerings, I almost never missed any of them. In fact, I also remember that every time we did the chalk offering, it wasn't like now with abundant offerings. We had very little. Sometimes we had what we called soft candy, and also white rabbit candies. There was this kind of candy, each person received one piece when the chalk was distributed. Sometimes there would be a small amount of milk just in a bottle, which we really treasured. When there was no milk, we would use yan Tibetan tea, that brewed tea. Each person could get a little. This is how we performed it. Later on, after engaging in the management, especially managing Han Assembly, I was too busy to attend the Tsok offering. In fact, for every practitioner, it is indeed extremely important to perform chalk offering regularly. So these past few days, I've also been thinking, I've seen many Dhamma friends outside, some gathering in groups, some practicing at home, or in some other hermitages, or in other Dharma centers. If it's in Dharma centers of other lineages, it might not be convenient for us to do the Tsok offering. But if we have opportunities in our own Dharma centers, I think everyone should try their best to perform the chalk offering, let's say, at least once a month. And if you can do it twice a month, of course, that's best. If you can't do it twice, doing it once is important. Because for each of us, we've received many empowerments and received many profound Vajrayana teachings and instructions in our mind stream, intentionally or unintentionally. We have accumulated the stains of broken vows because Vajrayana vows are countless. So if we are not carefully hold the Vajrayana vows, we often commit various kinds of downfalls and transgressions. If it is in this case, I think that many people may really need to actually make a confession or accumulate merit to purify their mind stream, to bring joy to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and holy beings. Once they are pleased, they will create favorable conditions for us to attain siddhis without obstacles. So, from my perspective, if it is possible, everyone should take seriously in the future. Among some of the more senior Buddhists at our Larungar, they basically simply practice this on their own every month. Many people do, especially those old disciples from the time when His Holiness was still alive. They often regularly hold the specific tsok offerings. Early, we had collective tsok offerings, and Han disciples also participated, but that ritual was long. As you know, in Tibetan Buddhist tradition, whether it's chok or a great sadhana ritual, they are quite long. Many of us, without a translated ritual, find it a bit hard. Therefore, in the past, we asked everyone to practice Mifam Rinpoche's simple offering for accumulating merit and purifying obscurations. The meaning of Tsok and the role of practicing mandala are, in essence, basically the same. Some may not clearly understand the meaning of Tsok offering, So I thought that today here I would encourage you to perform some shock offerings. Actually, it doesn't have to take a very long time to do it. About half an hour to an hour is fine. So in future, for the talk offering to accompany the Vajra seven-line prayer, if convenient, we can have some jomons with wonderful voices to record it, and then everyone can follow their voices to practice, which is convenient. Because now, for some of our rituals, if we distribute the electronic versions, it makes things convenient. I have previously translated the ritual accompanied the seven-line prayer. This time, I hope everyone will perform this tsok offering. Doing chalk offering, on one hand, purifies our own mind streams. It has this effect and is really beneficial for us. For a Vajrayana practitioner, it is necessary. So in Tibetan Buddhism, almost all Terma treasures contain Tsok ritual, including some of His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok's relatively simple Terma treasures, whether it's the sadhana of peaceful Manjushri, or Vajrakilaya Gurukukma, or the practice of Gurukula, or the ritual of the Vajrasattva practice. A lot of practice rituals all contain brief tsok offerings. This tsok offering practice is indeed very important. And tsok offerings actually allow many Vajra brothers and sisters to gather together and have a communal assembly. When gathering, it's somewhat like in the West, when people have parties or when everyone eats together or has tea together. Of course, our Vajrayana Chok Feast offering indeed, as has been previously mentioned in the related materials and references, as discussed, is not a gathering simply for eating and drinking. That would not be appropriate. But indirectly it does serve this function. Many of our Vajra brothers and sisters, Vajra friends, gather together, and in their daily lives, for many people nowadays, simply singing a few songs or dancing for a while, and everyone eating and drinking together is actually especially suited to the mindset of people today. So for Buddhists and Vajra friends, this is sometimes necessary. Of course, among Tsok participants, they'd better receive empowerments and keep vows. But if there are only a very small number of Buddhists not initiated into Vajrayana, they can also participate as external TSOC participants. And if they join in, there is no major fault in that either. So when we are in the Western countries, we often see disciples of various Rinpoches. In fact, on the 10th and 25th days of each month, these truly faithful disciples from the same lineage all gather together, just like we call group meals. Everyone recites the rituals together very well. And during this really joyful and cheerful gathering, there are some delicious foods which everyone can enjoy together. In this way, it can increase cohesion. Moreover, when all the Vajra friends sometimes gather together, it is genuinely helpful for one's own practice because it provides valuable support. Of course, there are different levels to this. Some ways to reduce some religious rituals are acceptable. If that's the case, it's just like the simple offering composed by Mipam Rinpoche. There's a simple offering option which we can recite as a simple one. The chanting can be done, and everyone can gather for a meal, which is good. In fact, the phrase Tsok Feast offering itself In Indian Sanskrit, it is called Gana Chakra. Gana actually means gathering, and chakra means wheel. It was the gathering wheel, which means everyone gathers together, like turning the Dharma wheel. A wheel is endless. It continues unbroken. It means that we will practice together in this way. That's the meaning behind it. A gathering, group practice, that's the meaning. But they are different. True Ganachakra and our current choke offering are a bit different. True Ganahaka group practice, in fact, involves a certain fixed number of yogis and yoginis, and strictly those who have attained certain realizations gather together for group practice. Especially many choke practices in unsurpassed Yoga Tantra are generally difficult for us to accept. But later, many great masters, including Venerable Longchen Pa and Venerable Jigme Lingpa, the Ganachakra group practices passed down by these great masters in history, gradually were simplified into the current one. If we have a chalk, then everyone will come together and assemble in the same place all at once, and then makes offerings to the three roots, the Dharma protectors, and the Dakinis as well. This is the ceremony called Chok offering in Chok. This gathering actually has three categories. One is the gathering or coming together of both yogis and yoginis. They can all come together and join. This differs from reciting pratimoksha vows, in which men and women recite separately. Some rituals require it. But here in the tantric chalk offering, men, women, monastics, and lay people can all participate. Everyone must gather together as a group. This is one particular type of assembly. The second is the gathering of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and six round beings, because during offering, relying on our special rituals and the power of special mantras, we offer to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, and Dakinis. At the same time, we offer to sentient beings, including the three lower realms. So sentient beings can also, in fact, gather together. This is the second. Third is the gathering of material offerings. During choke offering, if it's food or drink, a lot of delicious, scrumptious food and drink needs to be prepared and gathered together. So the three gatherings can also refer to this kind of situation. These are what needed for Tsok offering. Moreover, during the Tsok offering, we also need to visualize, don't regard your Vajra friends as ones with various faults or with a bad personality. You should regard all people related to you as Vajra Dakas and Dakinis. That is to say, their mind streams are very pure, just like the five kinds of pure perception we talk about. And the offering substances we commonly use in the Tok offering should not be thought of as ordinary, mundane food or objects. We should think of them as very pure nectar and sublime enjoyments. All food should be visualized as genuine pure. As for our surrounding environment, we should either visualize the copper-colored mountain or the pure land and visualize it as a pure, beautiful Buddha field. Moreover, the sounds we make are the pure mantra recitation. Generally, Tsok offering has three inseparabilities. Body and deity are one. Visualize yourself as the deity itself. Because according to some of our Chok rituals, in the elaborate ones, instructions on visualizing yourself and what in front and deity visualization methods are all explained clearly. Speech should be visualized as mantra, enlightened speech. the mind follows the completion stage or non-dual of purity and evenness, rest in this state where all phenomena are non-dual of purity and evenness to participate in this ritual. So I think our chalk offering is indeed very important, but more important, everyone must know how to perform a chalk offering. Actually, this chalk offering is not the only ritual in Tibetan Buddhism. Not true. It should have existed in India as well. If we look at the biographies of the 80 great Mahasiddhas, many of them, including, for example, such as the well-known, notably Saraha, as well as Kukuripa and the Black Conduct Yogis, many of them relied on chok offering and attained corresponding achievements. So if you think this is just a Tibetan Buddhist ritual, that's not true. In Buddhist scriptures, not only do we have this in Vajrayana, but also in some Sutrayana scriptures. For example, in the well-known and respected wisdom blazing lightning wheel tantra, blazing refers to burning fire, and lightning refers to electricity, wheel as in Dharma wheel. In the Wisdom Blazing Lightning Wheel Tantra, it is also stated, for example, at that time there was someone called Speech Lion. Speech Lion requested what kind of merit would come from performing Tisok offering. Then Vajrapani said 100,000 devas performing shock and later attaining achievements. It also says whether ordinary beings, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, or Bodhisattvas, if we consider the merit they accumulate from making offerings over countless eons, it is immense. If we perform choke offering for just one moment, that merit far exceeds the former. There are many such compelling, detailed accounts in this regard. So actually, this exists in some of our exoteric practices. Although it's not particularly obvious, it actually accords with some exoteric teachings. Therefore, many great masters of the past have placed great importance on chalk offering. That is why when many of us go to a place related to Vajrayana, like sacred sites of Guru Rinpoche, or when we visit caves where great masters of the past lived, or other monasteries that have been blessed by them, when we go to these places, many people, if time permits, will perform Tsok feast offering. The timing for this, as I mentioned before, is on the 10th day of the waxing moon each month. Generally speaking, in accordance with some of Guru Rinpoche's traditional calendars, it is generally believed that the 10th day of the lunar month is what we know as the 10th day of each month. The 10th day of the waning moon is counted from the full moon, the 15th. Counting this way, there are 10 days from 15th to 25th. The 10th day of the latter half means the 25th day. So generally speaking, in the past, Guru Rinpoche promised that on the 10th day of every month, as he declared, he would come to the Tibetan area in Jambudvipa and worldwide to bless sentient beings. So in this way, on the 10th day of the waxing and waning moons, Tsok is really important. When we receive empowerments, as you may know, many received Lama Yangtig empowerment. In the middle of the four heart essences, a Tsok offering is needed repeatedly. Each time when an empowerment is given, a Tsok offering is required. Empowerments require this. When transmitting tantric teachings, we perform it. We don't particularly arrange Tsok offering when giving Dharma talks. It's mainly after transmitting major teachings that we need to thank all the three roots, including the Dharma protectors and Dakinis, as well as to others, including hungry ghosts and some yakshas and rakshasas, other sentient beings. We make offerings above and give charity below.
When teaching the great Dharma and conducting some intensive practices, they are tsok. For example, in many Tibetan Buddhist monasteries today, they have a number of major intensive practice every year as part of their routine. After each practice, there will always be a relatively large chok offering. But this chok offering is not like the simple chok we do now. What we do now is a simple chok offering. The traditional tsok offering, with its complete liturgy and ritual procedure, including various kinds of subjugation rituals within its structure, let's say, including approximately 10 kinds of sentient beings that ought to be subdued, who are subdued through various methods and techniques. For example, their consciousnesses are transferred into pure Buddha fields and other pure realms. There are many Tsok offering rituals. So I think for many of us, the origin of Chok offerings can be traced back to ancient India. Of course, these Tok practices are found both in the Nyingma tradition and others. For example, in Sakya tradition, there are different rituals within the Kolo Demchok Chakrasamvara. In Kagyu, there are also many different kinds of rituals and traditions in their practices. Therefore, in Tibetan Buddhism, as it is commonly understood, as you know, it actually involves a variety of different rituals for chok offerings. So we should all understand that without any doubt, that a chok offering is often misunderstood by some as merely eating and drinking together. As for some visualization practices throughout the ceremony, we haven't paid special attention to these aspects previously. So now everyone needs to pay close attention. Because right now, it's not possible for us to cover all the merits and practices in detail today. But there are a few key points that I would just like to mention to everyone. First of all, when we perform a tsok offering, prepare thoroughly in all aspects. For example, the venue where you make the offering should be thoroughly cleaned and purified respectfully. If you are doing the tsok offering based on the 7-line prayer, there should be a tanka of Guru Rinpoche or a statue of him. Then, before this image, arrange offerings for both upper and lower recipients with care and devotion. The offerings are very important. Generally, they should include both food and drink items. In terms of overall appearance, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, protectors, and dakinis, all of them require food and drink as offerings. Only drink, no food is not proper. Only food, no drinks is not allowed. Make these preparations. Then, generally speaking, before the chok offering, there is someone who performs purification rituals. If you don't really understand some of the other rituals, it's common during talk to use Om Ahum and Ram Yam Kam. You should be familiar with the sacred syllables. So why do we use Om Ahum? First, the syllable Om. The purpose of this is to purify all of these offering substances, cleansing each one from all impurities and obscurations, to purify them completely. Then, as for after purification, it multiplies the offerings infinitely. Otherwise, the things we bought without mantra blessings to increase them would be completely insufficient. Considering ourselves and the countless 3 roots to be satisfied, how could that be enough? They multiply through blessing. Then hum empowers these offerings to transform in a profound way so that they can spread throughout and reach the entire expanse of space. They can, as we say, be purified, increased, and transformed to pervade everywhere. Om Ahum is very important. When we make offerings daily, we use Om Ahum to bless them. The Om Ahum represent the enlightened body, speech, and mind in mantra form, which is profoundly significant. We also have Ram Yam Kam, another important set of syllables. Ram represents fire that burns away all impure substances. Then Yam represents wind. It is the mantra of the ever-flowing gentle wind, allowing the wind to blow away impurities. And finally, the mantra Kam represents water, which thoroughly washes away all unclean substances, leaving everything pure and pristine. So for these impure things, what needs burning is burned, what needs blowing is blown away, and what needs washing is washed away. After this, relying on the power of the mantra, it may look like we have a whole lot of food and drink in front of us. But in fact, with Om Aham and Ramyam Kam, these mantras can thoroughly purify all ingredients and transform them into sublime offerings. There is also the mantra Amra Swaha, which is used to consecrate and transform the offerings into nectar. Amrita Baranda Ho has this meaning. Amrita means to be purified in Sanskrit. Baranda actually refers to purifying the offering substances. When using these mantras, you yourself must also be purified. Then we sprinkle purified water. And when we sprinkle the water, we sprinkle it on the offerings and in the assembly, it purifies beings and also our own mind streams. So by using these mantras, all our offerings and substances for the ceremony, as well as all the men, women, young and old, and even the place where the talk is being held, all of these are blessed through an inconceivable mantra. This is how the blessing is performed. At the ritual's beginning, we bless the offerings so that everything becomes purified. Of course, in more elaborate and extensive ritual traditions, there are preliminary practices like establishing protection boundaries and dispelling negative forces, and many other ceremonies. Generally speaking, we invoke and invite the three roots, and then we offer our prayers before them. Then we praise and offer. Then we begin to recite this mantra. During reciting, we chant the ritual of the brief offering with focused attention and devotion. The verses of the brief offering should be recited as much as possible. And during the recitation, we contemplate deeply the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are bestowing siddhis upon us. We are achieving liberation within our mind streams and receiving profound spiritual blessings. And the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are filled with joy. This is extremely important. Afterwards, we may also dedicate the merit and recite auspicious prayers as well. As for extensive rituals, it actually involves subduing and reversing, and there are many other aspects as well. But anyway, this kind of talk offering is truly important, especially for spiritual practitioners. Regarding the talk offering substances, many great masters and accomplished teachers of the past, in their related teachings, have stated that alcohol and meat are considered traditional essential elements. Why do we have alcohol and meat? In fact, meat symbolically represents the principle of spiritual subjugation. Because while it appears to involve killing on the surface level of understanding, in reality, this practice represents liberation for these beings on a profound spiritual level. So traditionally, meat is included as symbolic substance. As for alcohol, it represents desire and attachment. Just now, I mentioned that meat represents anger, while alcohol represents desire, because it can intoxicate. By using it symbolically in this sacred context, it actually signifies the complete union of method and wisdom. Also found, but in reality, when we perform chalk offerings nowadays, it's not absolutely necessary to use a lot of alcohol or a lot of meat, especially in certain places and contexts where alcohol and meat are viewed as improper or not in accordance with the Dharma, particularly in some Theravada countries or in some regions of Northern Buddhism, where vegetarianism is traditionally emphasized and the 3 refuges and 5 precepts are observed with great dedication and commitment, where many practitioners abstain from alcohol. In this kind of situation, we think, generally speaking, it is perfectly acceptable to use modern alternatives that maintain the symbolic meaning, including some beverages and some plant-based meats. This works too. Otherwise, within the sacred mandala, if there's real meat or real alcohol, then perhaps for dedicated, genuine Vajrayana practitioners, they would understand the symbolic meaning properly being familiar with these elements in their proper ritual context. But for those who are not very familiar with this aspect in particular, not only would the offerings fail to benefit their mind streams, but they might even slander and create negative karma instead. So there is a risk. Therefore, when we generally prepare offering substances for tsok, for outer offerings, use fruits and sweets, as well as other kinds of food and drink are also acceptable. For the inner offering, nectar in skull cup represents the union of wisdom and skillful means, including the 5 meats and 5 amritas in symbolic form. Later on, many practitioners replace them with ordinary alcohol and meat as substitutes. However, especially nowadays, it's important to recognize that if some Theravada and Mahayana Buddhists cannot accept, according to teachings from Master Rongzom Pandita, use a small quantity, even a single drop of alcohol is sufficient and doesn't violate precepts when used properly. This approach is also acceptable. It is not absolutely necessary to offer meat or blood. You may offer other nectar substances. We use precious medicines or substitute with symbolic food. These can include black tea, yogurt, and similar suitable substances. It happens during the tsok offering practice. There have been people who had already given up alcohol long ago, but during tsok, they would drink excessively. During the course of the offering, they would continually consume large amounts of alcohol. This steady drinking would go on throughout the ceremony, and by the end of the ritual, they would become completely intoxicated. Such situations do occur. Some Buddhists might use their own attachments as an excuse to start drinking again, but this is not necessarily very reasonable either. So in whatever practice we undertake, we must consider local customs and cultural acceptance. As Buddhists, it's not needed to act the same way everywhere. For instance, in Tibetan area or Bhutan, Buddhism has long been deeply and profoundly ingrained in the hearts and minds of people for many centuries. People do not easily develop negative views or wrong views toward some uncommon behaviors. In Bhutan, many of the symbols are things they see every day. People don't harbor wrong views about them. When you go to Tibetan area, in Tibetan Buddhist temples, there are Yabyam deity images, but they never develop attachment or wrong views or inappropriate attitudes. Such things don't happen. This is related to culture and has something to do with traditional customs. So in Tibetan practice context, certain offerings are considered to be completely normal. However, in other places, some people might not be particularly well accustomed to them, you know. So during our practice session, everyone should be observant and be good at noticing the surrounding environment, as well as the backgrounds and understanding levels of all the participants and the assembly present. This is quite important. Then, after we finish reciting, as everyone knows, fresh offerings are offered to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. If the Vajramaster is present, offer them to him first. The remaining offerings can be given to those who are unfortunately not qualified to participate in the sacred chok offering. Because in formal chok, some beings can't participate, such as beings in lower realms, or some sentient beings of the lower realms cannot receive the higher chok offering. So for these remaining food after the main offering, we recite Zeda Balangda Kaher. Zeda means remainder. Balangda Kahar. If there are tomas, offer them the tomas. If no tomas, offer other foods. We snap fingers while reciting this special mantra. Here, kahe means please accept and enjoy these offerings. We are offering these remaining offering substances to you, and you may enjoy them as you wish. So generally, when we perform a tsok offering, it brings immense benefit not only to practitioners but to the entire environment and region. Guru Padmasambhava himself taught that tsok offerings bring powerful blessings to locations. When performed with pure intention, chalk increases auspiciousness and spiritual well-being throughout the entire area. Chalk offering not only greatly benefits the practitioner, but also when a chalk offering is performed in a place. If it is done by accomplished great masters in a particular country or place, merit from a chalk offering is also inconceivable. So we should visualize in this way during our practice sessions when doing talk. In fact, it has many inner, outer, and secret meanings. There are offerings, inner, outer, and secret offerings. All three levels of offering. Then there is restoration. Restoration refers to making amends. Because when I was empowered before the three roots, I vowed not to break the tantric commitments. But later, due to heavy afflictions, if I broke them, in our practice, we do the shock offering to maintain and restore the samaya. Before the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, I sincerely ask for forgiveness and request for your pardon. As beings with heavy karma since beginningless time, I have acted contrary to Dharma teachings. So I confess and repent today, purifying obscurations in my mind stream. When we put it this way, three roots and Dharma protectors grant blessing and joyfully accept our renewed commitment. Therefore, as we know, in many sutras and tantras, tsok offerings its importance is discussed in depth. For those understanding Tibetan, or if they're translations, Longchenpa's works, such as the Great Commentary on the Magical Net, Dispelling Darkness of the Ten Directions. In this commentary, Chok's significance is explained with great clarity. The Venerable Jigme Lingpa, he wrote an important commentary on the gathering of the wisdom intent, in which he also discusses it in considerable detail. The very nature of tsok offering, its classifications, its functions, and how to perform it are also explained in detail. Moreover, in the related teachings of Guru Rinpoche, it is extensively covered, especially when we ourselves engage in practice. In fact, the tsok offering is truly something that everyone without exception should fully understand. Particularly for those who have received empowerments and entered the Vajrayana path, there will inevitably be some rather impure actions and thoughts, including in one's own mind stream. Some vulgar thoughts and slanders have arisen, or conflicts with Vajra masters or friends, creating various spiritual disharmony. If there are many such improper actions, actually through the Gana Chakra offering, our own mind stream can truly be purified and restored. Therefore, as clearly stated in the Vajrapik Sutra, by offering the Vajra song as offering, one will soon possess the eloquence of the Tathagata. This means if we engage in Vajra songs and dances, not just during talk, but sometimes performing Vajra songs and sacred dances as part of regular spiritual practice. I translated some Vajra songs years ago. Some of you might remember this. When His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche was teaching at Lion Treasure Mountain, he manifested an emanation body to travel spiritually to the copper-colored mountain in the great and auspicious assembly of the most revered Guru Rinpoche and his assembled and devoted retinue. He received a wonderful Vajra song from the Dakinis as special offerings and blessings. His Holiness later transcribed the lyrics, which is the song now sung during the talk. It would be excellent if everyone sing this song in various ways in the future. Regarding chok offerings, I believe they're especially well suited to the lifestyles of practitioners today. Compared to the exoteric schools, Vajrayana is a particularly inclusive tradition. Since that Vajrayana works with many worldly activities which can be transformed spiritually through various sacred means. For example, during Gana Chakra offerings, we prepare some offerings. When preparing them, on the offering tormas, there are white butter flowers and also red flower petals used as decoration on top. In fact, these are meant to represent the red and white bodhicitta. Regarding that, some with impurities might think these refer to impure physical essences of ordinary men and women. Some might think so. But in reality, if we look more deeply, we see that their true essence is actually the vital energy of all phenomena. That is to say, in our entire world, the union of feminine and masculine. Why is it that in the mundane world, men attracted women, women attracted men? There is some attraction between them. This reflects natural principles. In Vajrayana practice, to skillfully work with these different energies and essences collectively subtly present in all phenomena, one relies on special, sacred, highly skillful method in order to obtain them. Therefore, even the traditional tormas we offer, if you know how to make offering torma, that's good. And when making offerings, there are some who really don't know how to make them yourself. Nowadays, pre-made tormas are sometimes available. These tormas, that kind is also fine. They are also acceptable. Of course, the torma offering rituals in each terma practice are all different. But generally speaking, a torma for 3 roots works. If you can't make even this, then we visualize certain kinds of food as sacred tormas and offer them to the 3 roots with pure intention. With this kind of visualization, sometimes nowadays, couldn't we use something like cake? For cake, its shape can be made to somewhat roughly resemble a torma. And just like when we celebrate a birthday, among the offerings, everyone enjoys portions of these consecrated foods with proper reverence. Everyone happily eats and drinks together and sings and dances at the same time. Sometimes it's inevitable we might have some mundane thoughts. Nothing to worry. Chok participants are not necessarily realized beings. Most of us in appearance are ordinary people. As ordinary people, we also need the pleasures of the world, songs and dances. These sensory experiences help to increase the spiritual joy within our own minds. In fact, Buddhism is not separate from worldly experience. Eating, drinking, singing, and dancing daily, gathering parties, men and women all coming together, gathering in Vajrayana practice, this approach is indeed not rejected. Following exoteric with their strict monastic rules and precepts, things are not permitted. In Vajrayana practice, there are actually many different aspects that people today in modern society, in our daily lives, find more acceptable. Why does Vajrayana is more readily and often quite openly embraced in many different places throughout the West? Compared with other approaches, including exoteric tradition, Vajrayana Buddhism may be more accepted. What explains this natural connection? On one hand, I think Vajrayana has extremely profound philosophical views and transformative practices, transcending dualistic thinking like free from acceptance and rejection, as well as states, qualities, attributes, and experiences of realization that are free from hope and fear. It is uncommon in view, practice, and fruition. On the other hand, there is something that people today find easier to accept. If there were too many rules and restrictions, no killing, stealing, illicit sex, lying, singing, or dancing, like the 8 precepts. In this case, many people, including some young people and modern individuals, find it very hard to accept the practice of Vajrayana is neither biased nor deviated. It prohibits excessive behaviors, such as drinking alcohol or killing living beings. These are not allowed. But as long as such excessive behaviors are avoided, basically, for secular lay people in this world, it is generally a compatible lifestyle. And this is actually acceptable as well. So why am I giving this lesson to all of you today? I think nowadays, many of us are also building our practice using our methods. Then, if your circumstances are convenient in all respects, it is also very virtuous and merit generating to perform sok offerings as much as possible. The sok offering to accompany 7-line prayer by Mipam Rinpoche is very simple, and its blessings are also especially powerful. On the one hand, your own mind stream can be purified each month, and more importantly, if some of your Vajrayana Dharma friends, those who practice together with you in the Vajrayana tradition, gather to practice as a group, this is also a joyful thing, and it is very necessary too. I may have already told everyone before, as you might recall, and you should remember it yourselves as well on your own. In the autobiography of Tujum Rinpoche and Sarah Kandro that I translated, both mentioned that they received prophecies from Dakinis and Yidams telling them to perform their tzok offerings without interruption. When you have time, take a look at these. Many great masters of the past never missed their monthly tzok offerings. If we don't have conditions to do elaborately, we can do the simple one. If in solitary retreat, they can prepare offerings on the 25th day or 10th day of the lunar month. In the afternoon, those days, when Dakinis gather together during those times, you can start to do some simple chalk offerings on your own by yourself. Because we live in the fast food era now, if we were to spend an entire afternoon doing it together, that's probably not practical. I also hope that if you do group practice, if you gather together, the session really shouldn't be too long. If it goes on for too long, everyone annoyed or restless. Everyone is busy these days. So when everyone gathers together like this, an hour together is enough. If there are no pressing matters, it's also just fine if it runs a little longer. So I believe that such tzok offerings are truly essential for our practice. There were masters in the past whose practices were really good. Deities would even on occasion personally appear at the actual site of the tzok offering. In India, there was a place called the Flying Monastery. Then a king invited a yogi who lived in the mountains. This yogi had two Dakini companions. The king requested him to come and perform tok offering by Chakrasamvara ritual. After he arrived, the king and his retinue carefully prepared abundant food and offerings. The room was filled with offerings. Then the yogi said, I have a total of 62 retinue members. You absolutely must not go inside at this time. You are not allowed. He took the two dakinis into the hall for tok offering. After a while, when they came out, the king went in. When he entered, all the offerings had completely disappeared. He wondered, how could the three of you have eaten so much? We prepared abundant offerings. But when he looked in the space in front of him, the 62 deities of Chakrasamvara, who are revered in Buddhist tradition, all appeared in the space before him. At that moment, king convinced. So when it comes to some truly remarkable great masters during tok offering, they are inviting Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. During tzok offerings, when we pray Guru Padma Sambhava, as we all know, Guru Rinpoche will come. When we pray to the lineage masters, whether alive or not, those masters with the ability will also descend. So these tok offerings are actually a kind of, let me see how to say, what we often call a gathering or a reception, for example, inviting Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as noble guests, and at the same time inviting some truly pitiful, perhaps even lower beings. On the surface, some things may not appear as they truly are. For enlightened beings, the tzok can be many forms. In the past, Marpalatseva's teacher was called Gega Renza. Gega Renza is one of the 80 great masters in India. In Taranatha's accounts that I translated, he's clearly mentioned as recorded in the biography of the highly accomplished tantric masters. At that time, he was always alone on a deserted island, sitting together with 500 female dogs. And in another place, there was a black yogi. This black yogi, according to Vajrayana teachings, performed tok offerings exactly according to the Dharma. He wandered through the eight charnel grounds, but later, when he truly made offerings to invite Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, there was one realized being telling him they were not coming. Since they had just gone to Gege Ranza, he had the ability to enjoy all pleasure. The 500 female dogs were 500 dakinis. Regarding the manifestations of some great Indian siddhas, people struggle to accept. Though you can't accept it, nothing can be done. There were such great siddhas in those days. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, from the biographies of many great masters through chok offerings, including in the Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism composed by Dudjom Rinpoche that I translated, it mentioned that the Dakini Manmo, after completing a talk, hung clothes on a tree and then directly flew to a pure realm immediately. Such accounts. Of course, some of us might just think these are just old things from the past, things that we remember. They are legends or stories. If you feel these are stories and they may not be realistic now, that's also fine. But regardless, in my view, for us as Vajrayana practitioners, if we often do tsok, in fact, it brings truly tremendous merit. In the tantric scriptures, the Ati Ornament Tantra also says, on the 8th or 10th day of each month, or on the 30th day, if one do chok, it delights three roots, all Dharma protectors and dakinis, and it will gently dispel all obstacles in your practice, as well as help you accumulate vast stores of merit. This is what is taught. Also, the one I just mentioned should be from the Secret Tantra. This is stated in the Secret Tantra. Furthermore, the renowned and omniscient Master Longchenpa also said, if we perform chok offerings, in fact, it brings joy to the Guru, the Yidam, and the Dakinis. Such practitioners enjoy longevity, freedom from illness, and have their wishes fulfilled. In future lives, they will also be reborn in pure realms. This is what is taught. Jigme Lingpa also said, sometimes when we perform a chok offering, it can purify our negative karma and accumulate merit. And ultimately, one can enter the pure realms, that is to say, rebirth in the Pure Land. So for those who have entered Vajrayana, chok is indispensable. Many renowned great masters of the past truly placed very great importance on Gana Chakra offerings. Therefore, in our own daily practice, in fact, as we say, we should perform some Gana Chakra offerings. Why am I suddenly encouraging everyone to do tsok today? Some people have mentioned this to me before, but because of the work of translation and teaching of some other major treatises, that's true, this practice was overlooked. So recently, I feel many people have opportunities to perform tsok. If it is not possible to do it in a particularly proper and authentic way, we can also do it symbolically. Longchenpa said nowadays it is indeed somewhat difficult to truly assemble the complete Gana Chakra offerings. The traditional methods do require specific arrangements that may not always be accessible in our modern context. This is indeed very difficult, and it's also understandable. But at least we can visualize Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharmapalas, and Dakinis. If we make offerings upward and give charity, this will definitely generate a certain amount of merit. So I think that all of us who are listening the lecture today, after all, have studied so many tantric teachings. In our mind streams, we may have negative karma and obscurations. Just as we regularly need to wash our faces and take baths, and as we wash our clothes, our minds as well, also require a special method for purification. In this way, in our mind streams, we receive Buddhas and Bodhisattvas' blessings, and our lineage masters will take care of and protect us. Moreover, our actions will become more in accordance with the Dharma. After doing this, The Dharma protectors protecting virtues, and the Dakinis will often protect you. Therefore, whatever practice we engage in will also go very smoothly. This plays an extremely important role. So I think that all of us here together, if all the necessary conditions are present and circumstances allow, perform some simple tok offerings, including chok offerings from other sadhanas, all are fine. Especially some smaller sok offerings within certain sadhanas given by His Holiness are not very difficult for us to perform. If we do them, it should be manageable. When Vajra brothers and sisters gather together, everyone can joyfully eat and drink, which is fine. As for the remainders, the remaining chok items, it is best to dispose of them in a relatively clean place. Some commentaries specifically mention that offerings should not be fed to dogs, though I'm not sure exactly why. Ideally, you should put them in a bag or container and disposed of in clean places. Some sources say it should be at least 72 steps away, but in city, it can be quite a bit troublesome to dispose of the offerings properly. So put them together and then carefully pour them into a clean flowing river or under a clean tree or in the mountains. All of these are acceptable, absolutely. For people without faith, the tok offering ceremony is superfluous, except eating and drinking it offers. But if you truly understand its true meaning on a deeper spiritual level, then it is indeed absolutely necessary to do it. For those who like tok, it helps purify mind streams. The blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are always with such a person. We humans sometimes find ourselves in particular situations where we practice with sincere dedication. We can grasp the profound and secret intent of the Buddha. For instance, we previously called chapter on causes and conditions, but now it's referred to as the Udana Sutra. In the Udana Sutra, as it is traditionally stated, it says that if one doesn't train the mind stream, even if someone can teach the Dharma, if they perform heedlessly and carelessly, it's like a person who has many cows with herders and cowboys, but the cows don't belong to him. He can count them accurately, but they are not truly his. So for someone who is heedless, he himself does not possess what appear to be his. So what does that mean? If I'm a herdsman working for someone else, I can count the cows. Morning I drive them out, evening I bring them back. But in reality, these cows are not mine. Whether it's milk or meat or any other products, I have no right to enjoy them. So a heedless person is just like the following for the essence of Dharma, because they don't practice diligently. For this reason, they cannot truly possess them or obtain their benefits. On the surface, we may teach and recite texts, but because we have not actually practiced ourselves, we do not truly get to enjoy the profound essence of the Buddha's teachings. It's just like the herdsman, herds cows for others. He can do it, but actually, he himself does not get the milk, not even the butter. He does not get any of the most precious products from the cows at all. Therefore, those who don't practice diligently may appear as if they can teach the Dharma and so on, but they have not received the benefit of the Buddha's teachings. Therefore, I also hope that everyone present here, many of you have probably already received empowerments before and got tantric teachings. Life is very short, and within this brief lifetime, we cannot claim our own mind streams are 100% pure, but at the very least, we ourselves should do our best to move in this direction. This is important. This is what is called non-heedlessness. It is really important. We must pay attention and be mindful. I am a Buddhist, I am a Vajrayana practitioner, or I am a monastic, I am a lay practitioner following Buddha's instructions. For ourselves, on one hand, modern people might view it as restrictive. But if we say it more positively, this is actually strict self-management and self-discipline. Self-management is truly beneficial. We have a saying that goes, if managing yourself, you won't always rely on others. A person who are managed by others enjoys happy for a day, while a person who manages themselves enjoys happy for a lifetime. If relying on others, it's temporary for a day. We can't just seek help to solve problems. Perhaps our biggest problem nowadays is psychological issues. I've noticed that many people these days are emotionally and mentally fragile and troubled, inconsistent and emotionally unstable. This is the biggest difficulty for many people. I pray for Guru Rinpoche's blessings. Many people nowadays suffer from depression, anxiety, or other emotional instability. Even many practitioners also face these issues. If the mind is stable, there would be no need to suddenly lose your temper every day. I've found that for many people nowadays, the biggest problem is emotional instability. Today, normal, next day they've turned into someone different. Then after a while, they return to being normal again. In one's brief, short life, if you keep changing back and forth like this, you will suffer. Others also tend to dislike such people. They may not say it outright, but those with emotional instability will not be taken seriously by others. So sometimes we know when karmic forces arise, we might lose control. We're all the same in this regard. When karma manifests, it's very hard to control. But sometimes it's simply we are too careless to integrate the Dharma into our hearts. To integrate the Dharma into our hearts, we need various favorable conditions. Sometimes we make prayers. Sometimes we perform talk to purify mind streams. And sometimes we rely on the teachings of spiritual teachers. I really hope that when you have time and opportunity, you can receive more teachings from spiritual teachers. Regardless of which one, as long as they teach Dharma and guide you properly, there is really no difference. If they bring benefit to your mind stream, their kindness is immeasurable. So I think that's about all I want to say today. I believe I've covered everything I intended to discuss, and I appreciate you for listening to my thoughts. I hope everyone can perform some talk offerings, especially it's your personal practice. Which is actually very convenient. Back in 1986, when we followed His Holiness together to Muya, Luho, and Kangding, and others at that time, he requested that we make a simple offering as a sign of gratitude each and every time we ate a meal. In this way, our food would become an offering. Back then, we also had a rather brief, concise, and elegant liturgy composed by Mipham Rinpoche. I could recite it then, but now, let alone reciting it, I can't remember a single word. Later, we normally use the one Ahwi Tsasen La Tsoto La Hayen Trinsha. That verse is the one we often recite. If nothing else is possible, just reciting this one also serves, as is customary, to invite the three roots in particular, remove obstacles and sins and attain siddhis. Using this kind of simple offering is also important. For a good practitioner, once they learn a practice, they can remember it forever and always put it to use. It doesn't take a long time at all. They can apply it right away. But if we lack right view and mindfulness, even after studying for 20 or 30 years, it will still be difficult. I think I mentioned this before as well. Regarding Khenpo Deba, he was only 19 in the year of 1950. At that time, he relied on Khenpo Padma. And then in 1955, after 5 years of study, he got the Khenpo degree. Later in 1958, when turmoil began to break out, he had to leave his teacher, the person who had guided him for so long. During those more than 20 long years of that special era in history, he only had 7 or 8 years of study, reflection, and practice beforehand, nothing more. Yet he was truly able to face all kinds of various different adversities, obstacles, and hardships throughout all of those long, challenging years. If our mind stream is in harmony with the Dharma, then truly studying for 10 years, 5 years, or 6 years would be enough to sustain for your entire lifetime. Especially during those specific 20 years of darkness and shared hardship back then, one could get through smoothly without major obstacles, without abandoning teacher or three jewels. So I think for any one of us, the time of study isn't necessarily very long. What matters is whether the Dharma penetrates hearts. If the Dharma merges your heart, then no matter where you go, you will never abandon the three roots. Your practice will not be abandoned no matter what circumstances you encounter. But if the Dharma hasn't merged into your hearts, then even if you've studied for 10 or 20 years, it is meaningless. It's just like a solid, unmoving stone resting in water that remarkably never ever gets wet at all. Its nature always remains dry and never moist. The same. So I think that all of us here today, all of you should already have once been in a truly extraordinary Vajrayana Dharma center, have all received truly excellent teachings and empowerments. Therefore, before the end of your life, in your journey, regardless of what may happen, practices of confession, merit, and purification are really important. In the Sutrayana tradition, there are also methods for accumulating merit and purifying obscurations. Actually, this is very important for everyone to keep in mind. So in the future, regarding tuk offerings, if everyone pays more attention to this, it could be very beneficial. Because I think your daily lives are actually quite in harmony with this practice. Everyone gets together to have coffee and various drinks. Of course, alcohol is not proper. But at the very least, everyone can come together to enjoy the offerings while keeping a pure mind and making offerings. The merit is inconceivable. I'll conclude my introduction here today. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Kirgana jirano chupai, jupun zonen droa droa
Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye